What's up guys, welcome back to a new video. The spoilers for chapter 54 and 55 of the Record of Ragnarok manga have finally arrived. So let's talk about all the insanity that got revealed in these leaks. But first, take note that the supposed leaks regarding Beelzebub and Apollo that I talked about in a video last week are supposedly fake. So yeah, that's a big rip. Sorry about that everyone. But yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more Record of Ragnarok content. Now let's begin. So throughout the spoilers of these two chapters, double chapter again, absolute hype, cannot believe we're getting back-to-back months with double chapters. But still, we got two new human fighters getting introduced officially in the Record of Ragnarok manga. We got the official confirmation who's going to be fighting in round 7, which is very hype, and then some very interesting interactions. But the start of chapter 54 is still mainly focusing on the aftermath of the fight between Buddha and Hajun, with us seeing Buddha's injuries and how he actually falls unconscious. But before falling unconscious, he does talk to Brynhilde a little bit, with some translations already arriving for this, talking about Brynhilde's master plan to, save humanity and everything like that. So a cool interaction between those two, and then Buddha of course falling unconscious. So yep, that's everything regarding that portion of the chapter. Then we get a very crazy and very hype interaction. So we cut to Beelzebub, where we see the likes of Odin who has approached him, and apparently we have Odin kinda threatening Beelzebub, but again in a very sussy way. Apparently this is what Odin says to him: "I will not spare anyone who disrupts this fight, my long-held desire." What does that mean? We do have this menacing smile from Odin as well. So again, my dude is being sussy. But we learned that Beelzebub was actually getting rid of all the information he had regarding Hajun and of course his connection to Hajun. So yeah, but even regardless of being threatened by the likes of Odin, kinda implied to be, one of the big boss gods, Beelzebub this finally turns around and does look quite menacing himself, not really caring whatsoever about what Odin's, threat is or anything that he's saying. So yeah, Beelzebub for sure is going to be a top tier god in his own regard. And also that he's doing his own thing as well, which I quite enjoy, and Beelzebub's turning out to be, one of my favorite characters. Of course, remember, these are just the spoilers, not every page has been leaked, and everything will be revealed when the full chapters drop in a few days. But the next thing we cut to for chapter 54 is the Greek god group with, Zeus raging, destroying everything around him. That's pretty much a tradition when any of the gods lose their fight against a human. Zeus is just going to rage out. But apparently they're talking about who's going to fight next and what they're going to do about Buddha betraying the gods to fight for humanity, meaning they need to add 2 more gods to fight for them, I believe, to keep the tournament going with every human actually fighting. But we see Ares who's about to say he will fight, but before he can get it out, we have Hades saying he will fight, which of course shocks the other Greek gods immensely, with him crushing his eye patch in the process. So it wasn't really required, but I think it's something similar to maybe Kenpachi from Bleach, where the eye patch kinda, prevents his power from being too overwhelming or something like that, and maybe it was nerfing him and that's why he destroyed it with this little glimmer in his eye where he removed it. So he may have some eye based ability as well. So yeah, a lot of cool things to most likely come from Hades, the round 7 fighter for the gods. And apparently he also talks about this is revenge for Poseidon. He kinda of course looks very similar to Poseidon, and I'm guessing Poseidon actually respected Hades, and maybe Hades had respect for Poseidon. Maybe Poseidon was closest to Hades out of the other Greek gods or something like that. But yeah, very interesting, and yeah, very, very hype. And that's pretty much all the leaks for chapter 54. Now on to chapter 55 with more absolute greatness. So we see Brynhilde and Go actually going to see Nostradamus, whose design is not what I expected whatsoever. I don't think anyone expected Nostradamus, who's meant to be this bearded old man, to look like this little kid here. But we do get confirmation from Brynhilde that Nostradamus is incredibly strong regardless of his looks, calling him the prophet of the centuries and the most unpleasant man in human history, who was actually sent to the underworld as punishment for something he did, destroying some object or something like that, and he's been tortured in the underworld ever since his death or something along the line of that. But Brynhilde also calls him their Joker, and that Nostradamus won't be fighting it, but that is actually revealed, and which is pretty cool. So Nostradamus, very important, will most likely fight one of the strongest gods in the tournament, and I'm kind of getting the vibe that he will fight Beelzebub for some reason, based on, you know, calling him the Joker, the most unpleasant man in human history and everything like that, how he's insanely strong. So yeah, whoever Nostradamus fights is going to be pretty interesting, and I can't wait to see what his ability will be. He also apparently says this in their conversation: allow me to prophesize. The winner of Ragnarok will be the gods. I think this is more so a joke, not like a very serious exchange, and he doesn't seem like a very, you know, serious character, more of like a troll character, linking into why he's being punished in the underworld for so long and everything like that. But who is going to be fighting our boy Hades? We also get that revealed as well. So once Brynhilda gets alerted that Hades is fighting for the gods, she decides to pick the ruler who began everything. The Chinese emperor is fighting for humanity against Hades. Two rulers, which is very insane. And we don't get like a typical like walkout introduction for this mad lad. We get Huang actually, you know, appearing in the VIP room where the Greek gods are. We have Hades, who's no longer there, most likely preparing to fight. But we see Huang sitting where Hades was sitting and not allowing Hermes or Ares to move him around, with him pretty much talking shit, saying, wherever I am, this is my throne. So yeah, a very cocky human has been introduced, and I am very hyped. I made a video like a month ago talking about like his real world history, some predictions, and at the end of the video I believe I predicted he could potentially be fighting Hades, and that the abilities would be similar to Ryder from Fate Zero, where they're able to like summon their army or soldiers to fight for them. So Huang will be summoning his Chinese army to fight, and Hades will be summoning the pretty much undead or demons from the underworld to fight for them, and that these two will be like these strategic generals or something like that. So if this is what actually happens during their fight, this is going to be pretty hype. But regardless, this is a pretty interesting matchup. A lot of people ever since Hades got introduced was predicting he will end up fighting for the gods due to Buddha's betrayal and everything like that. But the theory that the Chinese emperor will betray humanity doesn't seem like it's going to happen, which I'm more so grateful, and his character seems very cocky and very badass, which I'm also very hyped for. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. And apart from that, we have Odin, Beelzebub greatness, and Nostradamus getting introduced. Not too, you know, hyped for his design, but the little amounts of information we got about him does seem to be pretty interesting, and will have some pretty big involvement later in the story. So yeah, that's pretty much everything for today's spoiler video. Stay tuned for the full chapter reviews whenever the full chapters and translations drop. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to subscribe, join the Discord, follow the Twitter, and as always, shout out to the people who support the channel via the Patreon. But yep, that's it guys. Peace.